afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. We are now just about halfway through the month of October. It's a little overcast today, but making up for it, I have a beautiful Zoom guest. She's up in the lovely state of Maine. It kind of looks like I'm sitting in Maine with that background behind me. Joe, my tech guy, did a great job getting this, backdrop for the green screen. And it's going to be, have an awesome interview as usual. But before I get to her, I have to read these incredible underwriters, and then we will commence per usual. So I want to thank Auto Country, king of the used car in Abington, #1 on the dealer ratings for Massachusetts for 2021. Been with me since the beginning, best in customer service. We got them. We got Lynch's Towing, Auto Cycle, and Truck Center in Brockton. One number for towing, one number for projects. Always looking for new modes of transport, scrap metal wheels, anything to do with that. My pal Lynchy in Brockton takes care of there. We got Radiologist 101 Barber Shop in Brockton. We got Countertops Express in North Attleboro. Experts in the installing and removal of quartz and granite. We got Five Corner Auto Sales in Brockton. We got Comfort Upholstery in East Bridgewater. We got Brothers Auto Body in Whitman. We got Body by Avelina in Brockton. We got One Good Credit in Brockton. We got A1's Tire and Auto Center in Brockton, always in line for new service writers and techs. We got Autotown Auto Glass installed in Abington. We got 810 Auto Motors in Abington. We got John's Greenhouses and Florist Shop in Brockton. We got the law offices of Helene and Stefani PC in Brockton, specializing in personal injury and workman's comp law. We got the Gunrunner LLC in Middleborough, the Second Amendment Freedom Store. We got Grant's Rental in Bridgewater. We got Doggy Boutique, all breed professional grooming for dogs and cats, run by my great next door neighbor, Debbie Stone in Brockton. We got RW Carpet and Flooring in Norton. We got Eastern Fitness right in the Village Shops in Northeastern, and we got Joe's Diner in Taunton. I want to thank you guys very much. And now on that note, I will now officially introduce Ms. Bekkah Morris. She's a graphic designer. I believe she's a webmaster. Is that also what you are?
Yes, sir.
That's a fascinating, couple of things that you do, a couple of livelihoods, but obviously you do a few other things too. And we're going to talk about everything that we discussed, prior to the show, to leading up to it. But first, I want to thank you for, taking time out of your busy day to do my show today.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me here too.
Okay, yeah. I just reached out to you probably no more than 2.5 weeks ago, and you were good to go. I love that when somebody gets an idea of what a show, what a TV talk show can do in a podcast form like mine. And all right, well, what I do with every guest is, we talk about their history. Tell me about what you were like growing up, where you grew up. You live in Maine now, but you said you were raised by people in Georgia, and your dialect sounds more like that. So let's discuss that, and then talk about how it got you where you're at now. And if I have any questions regarding that, I will throw them in. So go ahead.
Yeah, yes, sir. All right. So growing up, I was kind of an awkward, quiet, geeky kid.
Okay.
My father was he was a computer fixing guy, while I'm more of the software, like the programs on the computer.
Your father was, you said?
No, my father's more into the physical end, like where he fixed the actual hardware. Like,
all right, there was a little glitch in the sound. Who did you say in your family was into the other end of computer repair?
Well, I actually was raised by a couple of different families.
I see. All right, in Georgia, right?
Yep, one of them was from the South, from Georgia.
Okay, all right, and it's through them that you got your start in computer work, right? Kind of.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It was kind of through them that you got your start to, computer programming, or doing what you do now in computer experience.
No, my biological father, he actually was, he was the one that worked physically with computers and fixed hardware.
Okay.
And towards the end of the 90s, like, so 1998-ish, I was going into middle school. I decided I really wanted to be like him and get into the computer stuff. It was still, and I'm not very good, mechanically like my father was. So I started making websites on a website called Angel Fire.
Okay. Wow, I like the name.
Yeah, and I know, and I don't even know if it's still out there anymore, but
I would have figured that for your name, for your nickname, Angel Fire.
I like that.
Thank you. I like it too. All right. Okay. Well, but was that a program that you worked on back in 1998?
Yep, that's where it all started. I really, I fell in
Okay.
love with designing websites and making, little graphics and stuff. And
You're artistic too.
yeah, I am artistic, very.
Okay. So this is when you, but this is when you were only in middle school. So that's quite precocious of you to be able to do that at that young age. I mean,
Yeah.
you must, I assume your GPA was pretty high, right?
It was all right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have perfect scores by any means, but I tried to stay, good in school.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. All right. So when you started doing these web designs, what did you create? You said you started doing like art, like you started with artwork on the computer, and then you expanded it to more pressing things. Is that how that works? How you tell me?
I other than doing that when I was younger, and I played around with what they call HTML code. So it was, the older, very basic coding language.
Okay.
Didn't do a whole lot of that until I found the owners of Taunton Bay Soap Company, which is where I work now.
Yep.
I guess they were having issues with their website several years ago, back in 2014, and I just happened to be out of work. I had been stuck at home on recovery for surgery,
Okay.
and I go back to the job that I was working in, and I was literally just looking for something to do. I was so bored.
Okay.
But somebody had recommended me. They knew, that I like to build websites and stuff, and I had some experience in that, and they decided to hire me. At that time, I was living out in California, and they're local here to Maine, where I am now.
Okay. Hold up a second. If you were living in California, how did they find you?
On Facebook.
Oh,
Yep.
there you go. That's how I found you, and that's how I find so many. It's a great tool.
It really is. It is. And back in those days, the Kratom community is, it was really big. It was very, I want to say, centralized on Facebook. There were a lot of people very active in the Facebook groups back then.
Yep. Okay. That's awesome. All right. And this was 8 years ago, and you never looked back.
No, never looked back. Eventually, I moved back to my own home state of Michigan, and about 2018, June of 2018, they moved me up here to Maine so that I could work at the shop itself.
Okay. So basically, this is even though they're in a little Sticksville of Maine, they're still an international corporation, right? Basically.
No, we're just this is our only base. This is our only
Oh, it is.
yeah. But
Okay.
we, ship our products throughout the United States.
Okay. Did you go to computer programming school after high school and middle school at all, or college or anything like that?
Well, I mean, we had some, computer classes in middle school, but outside of that, nope.
You weren't a college grad at all?
No, sir. I taught myself everything I know.
That's awesome. Okay. You're very pretty. Did you ever model? Or are you doing it at all? I'm just curious. And if you're not, why not?
No, I mean, I was a gymnast growing up, so I did,
Okay. I can see that. You look fit. Cool.
yeah. Now I'm actually a professional makeup artist when I'm not working here.
Okay. So you basically have that, and how long have you been a professional makeup artist for?
About 15 years. I've had a big interest in makeup, and I started doing working with clients about 6 years ago, I believe.
Oh, okay. So what went on in the 9 years between when you decided you liked it and however many years ago it was that you started? Why did it take you so long to begin as a makeup artist? Did you didn't go to school, anything like that either?
Nope, I didn't go to school for that. My parents supported my makeup habit when I was growing up, and they always
Okay.
allowed me to, wear it however I wanted. I was very lucky considering, parents were very strict about that, especially back in the 90s and early 2000s. But yeah, about 6 years ago, I just kind of I saw a friend of mine with like very colorful makeup, and I loved it so much. I asked her to teach me how to do it. And yeah, that's literally the moment that sparked me into getting into makeup again.
That's awesome. Now, do you do makeup for like a lot of models and or just people in events or everybody? What I mean, what would you say your main staple of clients are? I would guess models, but but people that do everyday things as well. So you tell me.
Mostly every day, and like I do really well with what they call Instagram glam type makeup. So I work with you know, a lot of teenagers or young brides, and you know, homecoming.
Yeah, weddings, right? That's a big thing with makeup artists. That's awesome. Okay. Now, are you self-employed for the makeup artist, or you work for someone else?
Nope, that's all me.
That's all you. But for Taunton Bay, that's someone else.
Yes, sir. Yep, my
Okay.
good run Taunton Bay Soap Company.
Okay. All right. So how do you like you 5 days a week at Taunton Base, and then on the weekends you do your makeup? How do you divvy up the time there? Divide the time up.
Yeah. Nope. During the week, I work for Taunton Bay, and you know, I do their marketing and
Taunton
you
Bay,
know,
not Base. Okay, I got it. Yeah. Okay.
yep. And then on the weekends, I do the makeup, and then the genealogy. I help people through Facebook and other, you know, online forums. Basically, I focus mainly on Northern Italian family history, as well as Armenian American family history.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. All right. So you're a genealogist too. So basically, you try to help people find the roots. Is that it?
I do. Yep.
But why are you only limited to Northern Italian and Armenian? Why not everything?
Well, I suppose you know, I can help others in with families from other countries, especially Europe. Some of those countries have decent records, but the Northern Italian and the Armenian American really touched me personally, I suppose. My father's side is from Genoa in Northern Italy.
Yep.
Very difficult to track down their, you know, get to know their family tree and find records. And then for the Armenian side, which is my mother's side, well, it's almost impossible to track down records for many Armenian families because the majority of the Armenian Americans today that are here in America, their families traveled from generally Eastern Turkey, which used to be Armenia,
Right.
and they left in the late 1800s to the early 1900s during the Hamidian massacres and
Yeah.
the side. So there's a wide lack of you know, records for those families, but
Yeah. Okay.
something really wonderful, like a really good resource for those out there that are researching their Armenian roots, and it's called the Armenian Project.
I've
It's
heard of it.
yeah, some really wonderful people that did a lot of research and compiled all of these you know, incoming Armenian families records from, you know, their travels and pictures and anything that they really could find, and they put it all on one website.
Okay. And obviously you must do a lot of research in order to find this stuff, though, right?
Yeah, yep. I did. I found the Armenian Project when I was working on my own family tree. I worked with everything from my own, you know, DNA testing and reaching out to relatives to I read a lot of studies.
Okay.
There are a lot of foreign studies from the early, say, 1900s, I suppose, on what was happening in Turkey for Armenians. So
Yeah. 1916 was the year that happened, I guess.
yeah, 1915, 1916, somewhere in there.
Right. Yeah. I know the story. I actually interviewed an Armenian gentleman about 3 weeks ago, and he lives in Rhode Island, and we had a great interview. He's a filmmaker, and he's very talented.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was a great
Yeah.
interview. Yeah. It's on there. The guy's name is Gregory Abagian with a Y. It's on the website. You can just you know, do it. It was great. All right. Now you mentioned something about what exactly you do? You're doing something. You're doing blanket making too for people that are less fortunate. Is that it?
Yes, sir. I just picked up another thing that I learned in my high school teenage years. Back in the day, I took what they call child development classes
Okay.
for some in high school, and we made baby blankets, and it sparked an interest in me back then. But I hadn't really had the interest or the money to get going on that until recently, and I decided to start making blankets again. So I'm
Okay.
making for my own kids and everybody around me, but I would eventually like to collect donations and start making blankets to share with the homeless, pass out to different shelters and convalescent centers as well.
Okay. You have a lot of kids? How many kids do you have?
I have 4 boys.
Wow. I mean, someone is so young, it's hard to believe. That's incredible. I mean, none of them are adults though, right?
One will be an adult in November, actually. Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, sure. Because I mean, you said you were in middle school in 1998, which of course was for me. I mean, 1998, I was almost 40. So to me, you're just a kid, even now, all these years later. So that's why when I see someone as young as you have telling me you got 4 kids and one of them's almost an adult, that's pretty, that amazes me. But that's time for you. It flies.
It really does. Yep. I had him back when I was in high school, and I wouldn't change a thing for the world.
Good. Okay. Listen, it sounds like you were blessed and you made them, and it's incredible. That's wonderful. Well, you plan on having any more at some point, or that's quite a lot of work for boys.
Oh no, sir. I'm all done.
Well done. Okay. Yeah, you got plenty on your plate for the rest. Yeah. Just waiting for the grandkids, I guess.
Oh yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. All right. So you work over at Taunton Bay, and remember we talked on the phone. Now I live in the city. There's a city down here of Taunton, Mass, which isn't too far away. It's only a couple of towns from where I'm sitting. And I mentioned them. Some of them have underwriters on my but the people up there have nothing to do with that. That Taunton Bay it's only named that because of the street that it's on, right?
Yeah, partially. And actually, it's funny because a lot of people think that we're down in Taunton, Mass, just because of the.
Yeah, Taunton, Mass is a very well known. I mean, it's a blue collar city. It's nice. It's got some nice neighborhoods. I go through there every Saturday for my promos and stuff. So I know it well. When I was 18, I got a pilot's license there because they have an airport, and I gave it up after I almost crashed and burned, and plus I flunked the written test. But this is my calling. That flying was just a hobby for a while. All right. So have you ever done are you musically inclined at all? Can you sing? Can you dance? Can you play any instruments?
I do like to dance from, my gymnastics and dancing.
Yeah, gymnastics, right.
I actually can play the trumpet.
Okay. Did you play it in a high school band at all?
I did.
Okay, I figured that. Okay, but you played in the band, but you weren't a cheerleader though, right? You were gymnastics and in the band, but not a cheerleader.
No, not.
It's interesting. It's almost like there were some gaps in your life that look like that most people, I would think that you'd be filling them, but you chose not to. Like you've never modeled, even though you look like you'd be great at it, and you've never done cheerleading, even though you'd probably be great at it because it just wasn't what you wanted to do, I guess. Right?
No, and I'm all of 4'10" tall, so I'm not much of a model.
Oh, that's right. They like tall people. They like tall women. And I don't know what their problem is. There's nothing wrong with a petite model. Petite is beautiful, I think. But I don't write. I mean, there's a new song on the radio called Victoria's Secret, and you may have heard it. It's a really cool song. Done by you know the song, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Popular right now.
Yeah. It's a good. I mean, I'm thinking someone. I mean, I don't know why you have to be tall to be a model, but you're certainly in shape. I mean, now do you work out regularly? Do you have a workout regimen?
Not really a regimen, but I do tend to try to, stay in shape with dancing or exercise, but whatever. And polar size as well. I'd like to get back into that.
What's that? What is polar size exactly?
It's basically pole dancing, but
Sweet. Okay.
In the athletic zone, I suppose, but it's a lot of really, if you're working on your upper body, that's the way to do it.
Well, I got to figure if you were a gymnast, you'd want to stay in shape for the rest of your life, even if you don't do that anymore. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't, right? I mean, I can't see any. I mean, I've seen some of the feats the gymnasts do, and I can't see how they'd ever want to abandon that, that flexibility, no matter how, no matter whether or not they don't do it competitively, they still want to continue having the flexibility and the look and everything. And I assume that you like that as well, even though you don't really do gymnastics anymore, right?
Yeah, and I think especially when you get into gymnastics or sports very young, it's really, it's easier, like your muscles are conditioned to it, and it's easier to stay in shape as well. And to
It is,
yeah.
but you don't have to, but as you get older, I mean, I'm 63, I still feel pretty good. I work out every day. And I used to be a porker. I'm a vegetarian, and I have been for 40 years, and I love that. And so, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, looking at you, it's hard to believe you might have even, I mean, I'm thinking if you were born 40 years ago, you must have been pretty young. So, yeah. So I mean, but I'm just saying that I would recommend, excuse me, I'd recommend that lifestyle to anybody. It's healthy. Aside from being humane, it's healthy too. You can really, you don't need meat. Yeah. You can keep your nutrients up, your protein up, all the stuff that you need, and all the stuff that you don't need, you can omit, and you can have delicious food every day, and it can be completely plant-based. I know, because I do it. You're not a vegetarian, right?
Oh, I'm not a vegetarian, but I have nothing against that. Like,
Well, I know that. I figured as much. Most people, I think at some point the revolution will really take hold. It's going to take a while, because people are of the old school. They do things that they probably should learn to correct, for decades, centuries, if you will, eons, and then eventually they, through evolution, like everything else, they realize that they find out that there's a better way of doing stuff. And and then history shows that it's amazing how long it took them to figure that out. And I think that eventually there'll be a lot more vegetarians than there are, than there'll be carnivores at some point. It's not going to be in our lifetime, but I expect, maybe a few thousand years down the line, I expect that it's going to be, when people see that, the longevity going up when they stop eating meat, because it does. I mean, you don't need to eat meat to live. And I think people that get sick do it because the diet is terrible. And I found a way around that. And it doesn't mean I can't make improvements, because at some point I probably will, if I see I need to change it somehow, but I'll probably never go back to eating meat, no matter what, after all these years, more than half my life, and that's incredible. But now, do you cook at all, speaking of that, or do you not have time?
I do some baking, but definitely my husband does more of the cooking around the house.
Oh, does he? Okay. Is he like Mr. Mom? Well, you bet you. I mean, for the younger kids.
No, I mean, you know what? In my house, we actually try to do a lot of things 50-50, and
Okay.
try to do that as well.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Did your husband, is he employed at a firm like yours too, or with you?
No, he did work here at one point, but he actually works in another shop down towards Millbridge, which is not too far away from here.
Okay. How far up in Maine are you? Are you near Auburn and Lewiston? Or are you further up, Portland?
We are further up, much further north. We're about 3 hours north of Portland, right on the coast.
Right on the coast. Are you near Ellsworth?
Yes, actually about 20 minutes north of Ellsworth.
Oh, wow. You're way up there. I mean, you're probably closer to Canada than you are to where I am.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I actually did an interview, and I used to go on the road to do interviews before this lovely Zoom opportunity came along. And I actually did an in-home interview in Ellsworth one day, and I was on the road for like 13 hours. It was a long day, but it was worth it. The woman I interviewed was pretty incredible, so it was worth going up there. But I definitely prefer doing it like this. It's much easier.
Much easier.
So now, nothing behind you. Didn't design any of that stuff behind you. The paint and what are you sitting on that chair? That looks pretty nice.
No, this is a little tiny couch, a little 2-seater I got off the Target.
Okay.
I did get some pretty, pillows and pillow covers to make it look a lot more fancy than it is.
Yeah, you definitely have, okay. We definitely have great taste. Well, guess what? We're down to the final 5 minutes of the show, and I hope you had fun talking to me, and I hope we covered as much about you as we could.
Yeah, I did, and it's been, it's been a lot of fun. I would definitely love to come by again sometime.
Okay, well, here's what I'm going to ask. A couple of things. First of all, if you know anybody up there that wants to, if you had a fun time with me, you got my number now, have them contact me. We'll get them on either by Zoom or in person. That's number one. Number two, when we finish up the show, I was wondering if you'd stick around and do some pictures for Facebook. My tech guy will take them, Adam.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Well, Bekkah, you did a wonderful job with me. And again, thank you so much. I love you, your beautiful smile and your cheery style. Little rhyme there. And so now, and you were very methodical with your finger snapping when we began it, and you can do it again when we wrap it up. So are you ready to wrap the show up the way we began it? With my music? Let's do it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, folks. Thanks for watching Topic Time. More great episodes to follow. See you next time. Bye-bye. Have a good one.